YouTube fans, here again. Happy to say you can see my beautiful face because it's a bit dark outside today. I didn't think you would see my face. Not only that, it's a bit miserable today. So I figured as I've got a week off work, why not do this one? Being what I feel should have been Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade. That's right. The reason why I say that is because I'm not really looking off the Tistel Stroll. To me, this ended beautiful. And believe it or not, Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom, even though it made money overseas, even though it became a blockbuster hit, Steven Spielberg wasn't a big lover of it. It could be the other way around, it could have been George Lucas, but I feel it could have been Steven Spielberg. There's a lot going on when he was doing Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom. Some people gave it mixed reviews. That's why it took them this to do the third instalment. It took them this. So they were going to do another one, even though it did make money overseas. It definitely made money. You know, even in the uncut one, it made money. I love Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom. But, so it took them this. And at the time, Harrison Ford wanted to do different stuff. He went into different films. Did a lot of good films, like Witness. Never seen that. Very good film. And so on. It was only into 1989. All these big sequels were coming out. You had Lethal Weapon 2. You had Honey, I Shrunk the Kids. You had Ghostbusters 2. You had number of big films like James Bond's Smash It being Licensed to Kill. So it inspired them to do a third indie, being Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade. I would say the rest is history, but they had some ideas. One of them is going to be a haunted castle, and India would go in it. I just thought that was interesting. But because of this dispute with Poltergeist and so on, it kind of put off the idea for Steven Spielberg to use an haunted mansion. The other ones, because of bringing some of the original characters back from Raiders, they did want it to bring Nancy Iron back. At the time, they couldn't. It was only a couple of years later when they did that one, they did. But they decided to go in Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade. And the idea was to actually have, because it was originally, we all know, when Raiders come out, they was wanting to make a James Bond sort of film, never to be, we all knew that. So they wanted to have some characters from Bond. Think about it, you had the villain, who had just appeared in For Your Eyes Only. And who else? You had one of the girls who would appear in A View to a Kill. And decided why not being Bond in himself, being Sean Connery. I like Sean Connery. I miss Sean Connery. I feel Sean Connery is a very damn good actor. I like Sean Connery. So I think Sean Connery in this is the highlight of the film. He is the highlight. If people want to say Harrison Ford is the star of the film, then in all fairness, Sean Connery is also the star of this film. It's icing on the cake. It was the best movie they ever did. And again, because of Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom being very dark, being like an horror film, it kind of put them off. They wanted to make this one a lot more lighter, more of an offensive feel, and try and leave as much of the horror like they did with Raiders, like Belloc, his head blowing up, evil spirits flying along, tombs with bodies flying about. They wanted to stop all that. Even though you do get a bit of that nearly at the end when they go in the tube, they wanted to make it more of an offensive feel. And I think it worked any which way because this was very good. Now go with the bloody film. So you've got a young Indiana Jones, sad to say the actor, we all know, is sadly no longer with us. And I was wondering whether that inspired the Adventures of Young Indy, remember the TV show. I do actually like the fact that, that's it, River Felix, as we all know, may rest. River Felix plays a young Indy, beautiful. I feel it does too much of the backdown story, how he gets the star on his chin, how he stared at snakes. I felt, fuck me, all this all in one. And I do know out of all the indies, so they did have a lot of cock-ups in every indie film. This one has the most cock-ups going, which one day I'll go around the world of that, as well as all the other indie films. And I do actually like you've got this guy, he's been out a few other films, and he's not like a dark version of Indy, but he inspires Indy to be Indy. I just visited more films of this guy. He's only in this one bit, but I think he does a really good performance. The bit where he's on the train, you've got snakes, like I just said, you've got hippos, but there's a bit where they're trying to attack along in there, and every 2 minutes the scene change. You've got buses, you've got mountains, you've got trees, you've got all sorts. So I just thought that was good little touch. And like I said, I do love the bit where you got the bad indies. It doesn't mean you've got delighted, kid. This time you've lost this time, kid, but it doesn't mean you've got delighted. And he puts that on in there. We've got this one guy wanted this boat thing, and it goes like this later, and he's fighting, and the ship blows up, and he gets a lucky break. Like most of them, this one is actually paced one forward. I thought I wish Nancy Iron was in this, because this was based on 1938, and like the One Piece was there. So this is more of a sequel, even though it's its own film, it's its own beast. And that's when you get it's been sent again to get the thing to cup off the Tice and the art of the Tice and all this. That's why it's called The Last Crusade. And there's one die in it, and I actually like the film in this because it does remind me of For Your Eyes Owner, which is funny enough is similar. You think this die is going to be a good die, and you find out he's not, just like in For Your Eyes Owner. I thought that was a good little touch. So again, there's a lot of action in it. He meets a girl, and you think the girl's going to be his love interest. You find she's not. She's used him. Let's not forget, there's a date scene where he's going in tombs. You've got rats everywhere. I actually loved that. I thought that was a bit of good touch. When you do meet Connor, I think he's the highlight of the film. He's funny, he's gay, he takes the role brilliant as well, and so on. And you can get a few actors from the Raiders, you know what I mean? You've got his mate again, you've got the Stooties, another actor who's sadly no longer with us, and so on. I think it's a highlight. The bit where he's on the bike and he's being chased by the Germans, and he ran to Poland. He's now the scientist, he tested that. It would never happen in real life, but it's a film. I went with it because it's entertaining. And like I say, I just think every bit of it's really, really good. So as the film goes on, they've got to find the cup of the Tice and all this. And that's where it becomes, in my eyes, this film becomes an adventure film. It becomes an adventure film. I love the bits where they're in the desert. I love the bit where you've got this Mon villain and he's fighting within there. You've got that great music again. And he's on the tank. Indy gets a lucky hit and he falls to his doom. This is a bit where I would say near at the end it does become sort of a horror, but again, compared to Raiders with spikes coming through bodies and fucking evil spirits and Belloc's head blowing up and Toad face melting, let's not forget that, or Temple Doom, people getting their hearts ripped out and kids getting ripped. It's not as thingy as that, but it's still a good bit. It's only in this tube. You've got people getting their heads beheaded, and the main bad there shoots Sean Connery. But I also remember the scene where he says, "That's because I told him never to trust anybody." I always love the perfume that he's the villain. So I love the bit where Indy's going through the tube to try and save his dad. He nods into godsend space. And I do know there's actually a deleted scene where he was going to fall when his spiders was going to attack him. It's not in the film. There's a lot of deleted scenes. Like there's a bit with Pat Roach, we all know played in Raiders. He played two roles. He played like that Indian guy. He also played the bald German fella. And in Temple of Doom again, he played an Indian guy, the big fella. He was going to do him a bit of role. I'll let you do a sequel of a deleted scene there. Where he played a German soldier. They go on this big air boom, I suppose it's in the film. And they're chasing in there. There's going to be an epic fight scene. But by accident, they go to death in the airplane. They get destroyed. I just wish that was in the film. Where they have a fight scene and that. But for some reason, it was deleted out. Because Pat Roach, which would have been the last time we ever see him. Because he always played in the three villains. I just wish they tipped him a bit of roles. It's the last time we ever see Pat Roach in an indie film. And we all know he's sadly no longer with us. So I felt that kind of sucked that scene was deleted out. But the rest of the film, like I say, he's going in. And he gets the cup. And you've got this knight. How the fuck's this knight be 100 and something years old? Not find anywhere to piss. Not find anywhere to have a number 2. And he's in this cave, this castle somewhere. Middle of nowhere. But again, it's a film. The indies were never made to be realistic, so whatever. But I love the bit where the villain goes in, he's got to get the cup, and this bit where he makes a mistake, because what they do is he picks up the most prettiest, the most beautiful looking cup of them all. And anyone without going into the Bible, because it's a film, would know that that's not the one you go for. You go for the one what's the odd one out, not the most prettiest thing going. So he picks it up, he gets water. Everyone remembers this iconic scene. He ages all at once, his face is aging all at once. He taps the dirt and he just blows up. And I love the bit where the knight says, he told Paul there. Now, I do know in real life it was a big machine, had pumps in it and the effects of the face. This is why I miss practical effects. But that to me was more horrifying, that he ages all at once. What's happening? And he just blows up. I just love that scene, and the knight just says, he told Paul there. India uses his brain. He picks the most cheapest, dirtiest, filthiest looking cup going, drinks the water, naturally that's the cup of Tice. Saves his dad, but the big mistake is the woman tries to run off with the thing, the tassel trays in, and he's trying to save the dirt, but Deed kills her. Not the fact that she's going to fall to her doom, it's not the fact that she just lets go, it's not the fact of anybody else, it's Deed, because he can barely hold her hand, she's got a chuff on. He can barely hold her hand, and she's that greedy, she wants that cup. And because of that, she falls to her death. Death by deed. Which that actually surprised me, because I thought, was she going to change to a duddy at the end? Like most of the indie films, is he going to get the girl? No, she falls. Now, Indy almost falls himself, because he's going to pick the cup up. And I just love the performance that Sean Connery does, where he says, Indy, let it go, Indy. Let it go. That performance does, I've tried to do it just as good, but he does it better. Sean Connery definitely does that performance to a T, the way he just says it, that soft Scottish voice. Indy, let it go, Indy. Let it go. I was using that in a lot of my rants. And he pulls Indy out, they get out of Dodds, and the thing just saves, and so on. And I love the bit, because we all when they did Raiders, the indie character originally was going to go with Indy and the Mac, and it was going to be named off a dog. So it's down and throw that love letter in where Sean Connery says, I named Indy after the dog. And they ride off in the sunset, it pans out in the sunset. Beautiful, beautiful ending. And like I said, there's a lot of cock-ups in it. There's a bit where you think Indy's going to die, because I think they're going to kill Indy off in this. Happy to say they didn't do that router. And there's a bit where Sean Connery's got a big dock-off fucking beard. But if you see Last Crusade, he never had a big dock-off beard. So I'm not sure at the time whether he saved, whether he did him a fake beard, they did him a bit of fake beard, or he saved it for another film. I'm not sure, because the beard just looks fake and phony. Same as the bit where they're on the train. So there's a lot of cock-ups in the film. I suppose a lot of deleted scenes, which I love like any indie film. I love to see those scenes. I really would love to see them scenes. As well as the one with Pat Rose. But nevertheless, they're on the horse, they ride off, it pans out, the date indie theme. I love it. I just felt they should have left it as that. Just that. I couldn't be doing with the old man's fucking jokes. I couldn't be doing with the CGI effects to the point it's just overbearing. That's just my opinion. I felt this was the last, the best, the beautifulest way to end the film. To end it. And I just like the fact that they all get together, it's a full circle, they ride off in the sunset. I just love that. And it's a father and a son bonding. Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade, it's a father and son bonding. And it's a damn good film. And it makes me cry, because they don't make films like this. I always say this when I do this with you, and I mean it. It makes me cry, because they don't make films like this anymore. They do not make films like this anymore. And it's fucking insane. So what point somebody did Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade? Well, again, Steven Spielberg and George Lucas made a good one. This is a damn good film. Don't need to as much of an horror feel as Raiders or Temple of Doom. I said last. Raiders and the Temple of Doom. But it still has that horror nearly at the end. It's do have a good offensive feel. It's arts on its sleeve. I feel Sean Connery does a good performance. You never see Connery again, may he rest. And I just think if it was not a weak role in the film, not a weak role. So for that, as you don't make films like this anymore. A 10-star rating from me, because I think this film deserves it. But until then, be smart, be safe. See you later.